So today we are going to be discussed medieval Indian history. So in the medieval Indian history, generally we consider as a post Harshavardhana II and almost end of the Greater Mughals. Greater Mughals. The first topic in that one, generally known as a 800 AD to 1200 AD. In this 800 AD to 1200 AD, again divided into four subtopics, which are the first one known as a tripartite conflict. Why it's called as a tripartite conflict? Because three kingdoms, they fought for that one capital, that was Kanauj. Since the ancient days, whoever ruled Pataliputra, those considered as a ruler of Hindustan. Similarly, from Harshavardhana onwards, whoever controlled this Kanauj, those considered as a ruler of the Hindustan while. So now the political epic center shifted from Pataliputra to Kanauj. That was the reason three new emerging kingdoms, those fought for that one capital, that was Kanauj. Kanauj, it was not only the political epic center, also important trading center at the time, particularly early medieval Indian history. Who are those three tripartite rulers? This one was Pala, second one known as a Pratihara, right, and third one known as a Rashtrakutas. These three Palas, they used to rule over from the where? From Bengal. Pratiharas ruled over from around Upper Ganga Valley, whereas this Rashtrakutas ruled over from Deccan. Deccan means in generally the foothills of the Vindhyas to almost the river of Krishna. This is the region called as a Deccan, right? Deccan. So this is tripartite. And immediately second one, Rajputs. Here Rajputs again classified into two. One known as a Agnikula Kshatriyas and non-Agnikula Kshatriyas. Who were born from the fire altar, those considered as a Agnikula Kshatriyas. According to a theory of the Rajputs, the four epic heroes was born from the fire altar at Mount Abu. These four epic heroes, they were founded four dynasties. One is Pratihara, second one Chauhan, third one Solanki, right? Similarly, they are founded four. So Solanki, Pratihara, and known as a Paramara, fourth one Chauvans. So these four ruled over from the different places will be discussed separately. And again that non-Agnikula Kshatriyas known as a Rathods, Gahadwalas, Chendelas, and known, these are the people, they are known as a non-Agnikula Kshatriyas. And whereas the third one known as a Cholas. Cholas, they ruled over from South India completely. The word Chola derived from Kola. Kola means nothing but Kala, black people. Comparatively that North Indians, in terms of color complex, they were black. Chola, the word derived from Kola, Kala. So the Cholas, one of the most powerful rulers pre Sri Krishna Devaraya period in South India. And last one, Islamic dynasties. Islamic invasions. So from Islamic invasions, directly we are going to be enter into the which one? Delhi Sultanate. So in the Islamic invasions also it was in three phases. First one, from 1712 actually was Muhammad bin Qasim who occupied the Sindh. Later, after around 2 centuries, Abdul Qadir alias popularly known as a Muhammad Ghazni, who second Muhammad Ghazni, and third one known as a Muhammad Ghor, not Gori, Ghor. Qasim one phase, second phase Muhammad Ghazni, third one Muhammad Ghor. So these are the three phases. But almost these four topics are independent in generally, but indirectly interlinking topics. So once you completed these four, then only you got idea. And next topic, major one here, the second one known as a Delhi Sultanate, 1206 to 1526. So five dynasties, we know that one. Slave dynasty, slaves also known as a Mamulik and also known as a Hilbari Turks. we should not call them as a slaves. The earliest historians was called as a, it was slave dynasty. So nowadays we should not call them as a slave, we should call them as a mamlik, because slave remain as a slave as long as he was a slave, he never became that master. So ruler means he was a master. And one more thing, out of these 10 rulers almost, only the 3 were the slaves, earliest days. Then later they became liberate and finally founded that empire, and they became assigned the throne also. So that was the reason we may not be called them as a slaves. So Mamulik means originally they were slaves, later they were liberated. And one more thing, that liberal successors only, they were the rulers. And Ilbari called because all are the rulers except Kutubuddin Aibak, all are, they belong to be a tribe called as a Ilbari, then known as a Hilbari dynasty or Hilbari ruling. So next one known as a Khalji. Generally we called them as a Khilji, we should pronounce them as a Khaljis. They were great warriors, they were also Turks, they used to work as a bodyguards of the Khalifa. So most powerful warrior tribe among Central Asians, that was Khaljis also. Similarly Rajputs also, they were Central Asian tribes, not Indians originally. During the period of the Guptas, when Hunas invaded India, while along with these Hunas, some of the Central Asian tribes enter into the India, particularly Pratihara Gujaras. Gujaras, one of the important Central Asian tribe. So one of the branch were Pratiharas. Though they were not Indians originally. They migrated from the Central Asia. Later they settled in India. They adapted culture of India. And now, indirectly later period, when the Islamic invasions were there, they themselves claimed as they were the protectors of Hinduism. Originally, they were not Hindus and as well as not Indians also. So the third one, Tughlaqs. In the Tughlaqs generally, when we are going to be discussed immediately, 2 names comes in your mind. One was Muhammad bin Tughlaq and one more was Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was very, very liberal man. At the same time, he was the most reformer. So because of his reforms, he tasted that failures also, because he were more advanced than his people. That was the reason people not accepted his reforms at the time. They could not digest it properly also. So in the world in generally, the great reformers going to be failed. Example 1, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Mikhail Gorbachev, P.V. Narasimha Rao, and taking granted it as even Chandrababu Naidu also. But people were not digested their reforms. Later they were realized. Example case study take as Chandrababu Naidu. In the 1900 and late 90s, what he did, introduced a program of Inkudu Guntalu. And what is that one? Harvesting of that water. So later, while people commented on him like unnecessarily wasted money, no use of this maintaining of all these things. But finally today we are definitely certainly depend on that one, because of that, what one? Water table level, day after day it is going to be decreased. But whenever that rain properly there increased, and all of suddenly during the period of the summer. So similarly, so there were many case studies I will be discussed in future required if time. So the next one, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So best example, he was a liberal man, philanthropic man, not focus on administration, much focus on philanthropic policies like social welfare schemes. Because of social welfare schemes, entire his kingdom, his empire became a bankrupt, one empty of the treasury, that later rulers unable to be managed. He much focus on the only philanthropic. Example, Diwani Khairat. Diwani Khairat, and one more, he established, he set up one hospital also known as a Dar al Shifo. Diwani Khairat, what was distribution of the money to the poor, particularly poor Muslim girls. So whenever they are conducting any marriage of the poor Muslim girls, he donated money. Similarly, same case in Telangana, Shadi Mubarak and Karyana Lakshmi. All the schemes, failed schemes, later after 700, 800 is again reintroduced in same both Telugu states. So because of more social welfare, the Tughlaq ended. Not only Tughlaqs, finally even its impact on the Delhi Sultan also, completely. So after Tughlaqs, Sayyids, then finally known as a Lodis. So after Lodis, third chapter here known as a, that was, right, it is a transitional period. In North India, there was a 5 provincial dynasties. 5 provincial dynasties. One, Malwa, Gujarat, Bengal, Jaunpur, Kashmir. These are the 5 dynasties, one after one we are going to be discussed. Then later, one after one, almost occupied by the Akbar, except Jaunpur. Jaunpur actually was annexed by Sikandar Lodi. Then we'll see later. In South India, there were 2 great dynasties, empires. We called as a Bahamani Sultans and one more Vijayanagara. Vijayanagara more important in terms of art and architecture. See all the areas, even Pala, they had their own architecture style. And then Rashtrakutas also, they developed architecture style, like they followed simply their ancestors who are, they were succeeded by whom? Badami Chalukyas was succeeded by Rashtrakutas. Originally Rashtrakutas, they worked as a feudators of the whom Badami Chalukya court. They founded independence. So they followed Vesara style of architecture. See, even Cholas also important architecture. And Delhi Sultanate composite culture as well as that their separate architecture. These women, Vijayanagaras, they had a separate Dravidia, but they added some other features then known as a Vijayanagara. So in terms of culture part also important area, this medieval one. So 2 dynasties who are one known as a Vijayanagara Empire and one more known as a Bahamani Sultans. In that one, most powerful dynasty Vijayanagara who are Tuluva, because Sri Krishna Devaraya only. And third aspect more important in third chapter, that was Bhakti movement and Sufi movement. Most favorite area for examiner, particularly in prelims as well as the mains. Both one. So in the Bhakti again, Nayanar, Alvars, and later who was this all Acharyas, Shankaracharya, Vallabhacharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkara. Apart from these 5 very popular, apart from these 5, some of the regional Bhakti leaders also there. We should not neglect them because in these days examiner is going to be touch nook and corner. Example 1 or 2 I will give you. One nothing but Botuluri Veera Brahmendra Swami and even our Bhakta Ramadasu. And Basaveshwara in Karnataka, regionals. So they are also sometime going to be touched. And similarly, in the Bhakti movement, Nirguna and Saguna. So Nirgunas not believed the gods, and at the same time even they believed also, they said only Ekeshwaropasana, monotheism, and whereas Sagunas they believed. But in north particular, in south, all these people who are there, Acharyas, they believed philosophy, particularly Shaiva. And later they developed Hariharanatha cult also. Harihara means Shiva and Vishnu, both together. So, and whereas in north, Rama and Krishna cult was very popular. So Rama cult, Ramananda himself, and Ramananda, one of the important disciple of Ramananda, Kabir. Kabir, he was a man of social emancipation who fought for that one. Particularly, he fight for that women rights and downtrodden people. Similarly, there were satirical poets written even in South India, particularly Telugu, who was Vemana, satirical one. So, he against which one? Dogmatism. He wrote several poems, Vemana Shatakam, all these things. So, we, when required, even comparison also we can. So, Bhakti and Sufi. Sufi also, Sufi means nothing but reform in Islam. The word Sufi derived from a woof. Woof means wool in Persian language. Wool in Persian language. We'll see later. And fourth chapter here, that much one of the important, that was Mughals. Mughals 1526 to 1540 phase 1. 1555 to 1707 third, 1707 to 1857 the one. So that the fourth chapter has, and fifth one generally. So the Marathas, whereas sixth, advent of Europeans. Advent of Europeans. Why I'm taking advent of Europeans as the sixth one rather the fifth one? Because the directly we are going to be moved towards which one? Modern India. Okay, so advent of Europeans, finally British conquest India, then we are going one by one. That was the reason I discussed in this manner. So this was the syllabus of that medieval India. So first chapter, now we are going to be discussed which one?